there are ancient ruins deep under the water. They may have been once prosperous capitals. The remains of these thriving cities are now half a mile below the sea. These underwater cities have been forgotten for thousands of years. There are cities like these scattered all over the world. According to statistics, there are more than 200 cold, lonely cities in the Mediterranean Sea. What we can discover today are the remains of cities that archaeologists say no longer exist on Earth. Are the ruins left at the bottom of the ocean evidence of the earliest civilizations of mankind? Or are they evidence of the amazing construction skills of primitive people? And if so, where did these skills come from? The legends of the natives are very clear: something or someone landed from the sky. And then suddenly that knowledge became widely known. From ancient times to the present, fishermen and sailors on ocean-going ships have been constantly passing on the legend of the rays of light emitted from under the water. And from here, we can have an idea. Could it be that there are some underwater bases of aliens? Millions of people around the world have believed that. In the past, aliens have visited the Earth. If that is true, have aliens helped us change and reshape the history of mankind? If so, what can the underwater ruins tell us about past history? In the journey back to the history of the Earth, we will search for evidence for the hypothesis of ancient aliens. Today, I will explore with you the forgotten world in the vast ocean. The vast oceans cover more than 71% of the Earth's surface. And most of the mysteries in the ocean have yet to be discovered by humans. In fact, humans have only understood 5% of the ocean's surface. It would not be an exaggeration to say that human discoveries about the universe are greater than their understanding of the ocean. So what history books have recorded for a long time, humans can only speculate about the civilizations that are currently deep under the ocean. But with modern technology and the achievements in science and technology that we have achieved, humans have been able to invent diving equipment that is deeper, more durable, and provides more information than before. That is the premise for oceanographers from all over the world. Locked in to explore the underground world, something they have long desired. Since then, a series of surprises have puzzled us and raised questions about the historical process of formation, development, and proliferation of humans on Earth. Underneath the deep blue ocean there are complexes of architectural works and elaborately built monuments. These are the ruins of urban civilizations in different regions of the Earth. Some of them are believed to date back 10,000 years. Others are even much older. Scientists today believe that on Earth during the last ice age, the ocean level was much lower than it is today. This is not an unfounded speculation. Geological evidence has shown that. During the last ice age, the entire area of northern Europe and North America today was covered by a layer of ice 2 miles thick. It was a huge volume of water about 21,000 years ago, and with the end of the ice age, the climate began to warm. This led to the melting of this huge amount of ice. This process ended about 10,000 years ago. As a result, a lot of coastal land was gradually submerged by rising sea levels. According to scientists' estimates, the rising sea levels submerged 10 million square miles, or about 26 million square kilometers. This is equivalent to the total area of Europe and China combined. And everything that was on this area simply disappeared from the history of the Earth. In my opinion, modern archaeology has not done its best to estimate the number of people who died on these submerged lands. And they have not told us everything that has happened over the course of the Earth's 4.5 billion year history. For thousands of years, while most of the ocean floor remained unexplored, philosophers knew and passed down one of the greatest mysteries of the sea: the legend of the lost city of Atlantis. Most of the previous knowledge that humans knew about Atlantis came from the great Greek philosopher in his 2 books, Critias and Timaeus, written in 360 BC. In it, Plato described Atlantis as a fairly advanced city, surrounded by walls of unique circles. The legendary city flourished in its time. According to Greek mythology, the citizens of Atlantis had contact with aliens from the very beginning of its formation and development. Speaking of the history of the city, legend has it that Atlantis was originally an island built by the god of the sea in Greek mythology. The gods are most likely aliens, and their technology was mistaken for the superheated god Poseidon was also considered an alien. In legend, he found a beautiful, gentle girl named Cleito. He married her and she became pregnant. To protect his family, he built the city of Atlantic. Mythology tells that Cleito had 5 pairs of twin sons with Poseidon. The eldest of them was named Atlas. 10 sons inherited the great city, and the first son Atlas became the first ruler of Atlantis. It is believed that Poseidon's sons also built a giant temple for their father. In the temple there was a statue of Poseidon riding a chariot with winged horses. The wall was built entirely of gold and was placed in a temple with a spiral roof so high that it reached the clouds. Poseidon also built a private palace for his muse in the city of Atlantic. The palace was surrounded by large canals that could accommodate many ships. Moreover, the walls surrounding the palaces were built with red, white and black stones decorated with precious metals. The city of Atlantis was fertile and beautiful, home to gods and humans. The city was said to be a self-sufficient area where people grew their own food and raised their own animals. Farmers in the city used to grow crops in the fertile plains on the outskirts with the help of a well-maintained irrigation system. They also built beautiful buildings and other structures from materials such as black and red stones. At that time, they discovered many rare metals, even alloys such as brass were made, and used many rare crystals such as diamonds for entertainment purposes and jewelry. The inhabitants of Atlantis were believed to possess special powers and technologies such as the ability to control the weather, modify volcanic eruptions, or possess some kind of device that allowed them to project energy from time and space. According to legend, after a failed attempt to invade Athens, natural disasters struck the island of Atlantis. Plato recounted that Atlantis was completely destroyed in just one day and night. The disaster struck and destroyed and sank the city as well as the entire island. Some researchers believe that there was a conflict between the Atlanteans and they somehow destroyed each other. However, such hypotheses are difficult to verify. The biggest question that troubles the minds of all scientists is, where is Atlantis today? Some documents claim that the city sank into the sea after an earthquake or tsunami, and Atlantis was a large island located near the rock of Gibraltar, including a temple of Poseidon and a concentric wall and canal. According to Plato, this city should have been somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. However, to this day, despite the use of the most advanced technologies for research, there is still no sign of finding any such city on the ocean floor. Some theories suggest that Atlantis is located in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Spain or maybe just under Antarctica. For a long time, the Azores were believed to be the location of the city of Atlantis. However, new studies have revealed another area, and scientists are certain that Atlantis can be found in Cadiz somewhere, between the coast of Spain and Morocco. Questions such as, where is Atlantis? Has its traces been erased, or is it really still a mystery? Some people have even questioned the existence of this city, saying that it is just an image created by Plato to teach people at that time. However, in 1968, archaeologist Manson Valentine believed that he had found part of the legendary city of Atlantis. When he discovered an unusual rock off the north coast of Bimini Island. This rock was only 4 to 5 meters below the water surface. It was not difficult to detect. At first, scientists thought that this beach was full of natural rocks that were formed and deposited over billions of years of geological activities. But then, some other scientists explored Bimini Island. They realized that in this area, the rocks did not seem to be naturally formed as usual. There were some rocks that looked like they were placed on top of other rocks on purpose. Some other rocks were placed between them to create balance. Mother Nature would never create such formations between rocks. It is speculated that the rocks were arranged like that by man. Did someone or some intelligent creature place them there? After expanding their research to image the seabed in this area, scientists have vaguely realized a secret that has been buried under the ocean for a long time. That area is actually a harbor, and the rocks they initially studied were part of the breakwater of that harbor. The results made everyone really excited. They knew that they had discovered a part of history that no one had ever known. Following the ocean currents, the archaeologists found many interesting and complex things. This entire massive structure resembles the ruins of an ancient city. They found structures such as roads and trails. These roads were covered by explosives and had to be carefully studied and surveyed to be found. Could the discoveries in the Bimini area be the remains of the ancient continent of Atlantis? And if so, could these routes lead to other locations that are now buried under sand and water? In 2000, while on a mission to map the seafloor off the west coast of Cuba, an expedition led by oceanographer Paulina Liski discovered symmetrical rock structures deep underwater. Remarkably, they had gone deeper than half a reef, which conventional instruments could not probe, so they had to use a remotely operated submersible. The submersible was equipped with cameras and robotic arms that could be controlled from a control room on the deck. The expedition was also equipped with sonar to image a large area of the seafloor and what was in the ocean. As a result, they discovered many large stones, some of which were complex structures, possibly about 400 m wide and about 40 m high. Some of the large stones were placed on top of other stones. They showed sharp angles and symmetry. This was a sign of man-made structures. All the scientists present at the time and those who participated in the research of this relic did not believe that these were naturally formed stones. They could also find straight lines stretching like avenues. More specifically, the expedition discovered giant stone slabs in the shape of pyramids. Most of the stone slabs here were enormous in size, about 5 m high and weighing up to several tons. There were about 30 geometric structures found, which were shaped like streets, buildings, tunnels and pyramids. All were submerged about 70 m deep under the water. Correlating what they have discovered with the remains on land, archaeologists have found many architectural similarities with some civilizations that have also intrigued modern scholars. The Maya civilization. There is compelling evidence that the Maya may have been descendants of a powerful, yet suddenly lost, scientific civilization. When looking at underwater photographs of the Bimini ruins and the Cuban coast, we are reminded of the complex of buildings on the Yucatan Peninsula and other parts of Mexico. There is something about this structure that seems lost in time, and it explains why there is no early stage of the Maya civilization that we know of. Their science, technology, medicine, mathematics, and more were inherited from a mother civilization that was formed after thousands of years of research and development. Perhaps our best link to the ancient past is through the Maya civilization, and the messages they have left us in coded form in their architecture, art, and other artifacts. Some believe that the Maya as we know them were the survivors of a great flood and a change in the earth. Their tools and complex machinery were lost, and with a small group of people left, they had to start a new civilization. Evidence of this can be found in many Mayan cities across Central America. When scientists excavated the buildings, they found very early settlements and structures just below the surface. An interesting point to note is the complex and sophisticated ancient pyramid complex, which shows a very high level of construction technology, but was lost in later years. Perhaps it was natural disasters such as floods, earthquakes, and continental shifts that destroyed much of the essence of their civilization. And again they start with the most rudimentary. The discoveries above give us evidence of a prehistoric culture. It could be tens of thousands of years ago, which is very interesting for those who like to explore. By dating based on the presence of volcanic ash nearby, it is estimated that this city was submerged more than 6,000 years ago. Could this be some part of the Atlantis that sank 9,000 to 10,000 years ago that Plato spoke of? The legendary city of Atlantis is associated with the Caribbean and the Bahamas, especially Cuba. Plato spoke of an empire on islands. he could be talking about dozens of different islands of different sizes. It is evident that it was not only in the western Atlantic but could have extended all the way to the central Atlantic. Both Cuba and the Bahamas are part of a group of sites located on the western edge of the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is an ocean area of over 500,000 square miles. This area is famous for its magnetic anomalies, alien sightings, and the mysterious and inexplicable disappearances of passing planes and ships. In 1977, scientists discovered at the bottom of the Bermuda area a mysterious structure showing unusual technology. It was a pyramid about 200 m high. The surrounding water was sparkling, while the structure was dark blue. Such a contrast was hard to understand at the bottom of the ocean. Accordingly, this mysterious pyramid was found by a joint effort of American and French scientists using a submarine detection device at a depth of 2,000 m below the seabed in the Bermuda Triangle. The discovery has attracted special attention from scientists, and subsequent studies have allowed them to measure the size of this mysterious structure. In parallel with the program to explore the mysterious Yonaguni structure under the sea in Japan, the results were quite surprising. It is larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. Specifically, the diameter of the base of the pyramid in Bermuda is up to 300 m, 200 m high. It protrudes from the general level of the seabed about 100 m. Some Western scientists believe that the pyramid under the seabed of the Bermuda Triangle may have been originally built on land and then submerged under the bed by a violent prehistoric earthquake. Combining events and relics can suggest a hypothesis that the entire seabed from Bimini to the west coast of Cuba today is very likely a system of cities belonging to the same mysterious, highly developed civilization that has been lost. Chronologically, they correspond to the period in which Plato described the continent of Atlantis. In modern times, when determining the location of underwater relics as described above, we cannot help but be startled to realize that the Bermuda area also carries thrilling stories about time-space gates and the appearance of aliens. A place to hide under the ocean where mysterious collapsed structures appear. Along with that are strange phenomena, the appearance of unidentified objects. Do you believe that all of this is unrelated and simply a coincidence? I myself do not think so. Coincidences cannot be repeated too many times. All of these evidences and comments help us once again have more confidence to say that it is very possible that modern humans have found clues to reach the legendary continent of Atlantis. With reports of strange phenomena, UFO sightings in the Bermuda Triangle, it is hard not to suspect that the aliens have not left their former home city. It is very possible that this place is still a secret base of extraterrestrial beings to this day. It is just that the ocean has helped to hide it from the curious eyes of modern humans. Leaving the Atlantic Ocean for a moment, I will join you to explore another equally amazing place in the Pacific Ocean. Welcome to Yonaguni, located under the waters of Japan. Then Yonaguni is a small island in the far west of Japan. Modern scholars believe that in the process of human migration, prehistoric East Asians first set foot on this land, then migrated to different lands in the Japanese archipelago. In the south of Yonaguni Island in the Ryukyu Islands about half a century ago, divers have found the remains of man-made structures right in the ocean. The area includes a square structure covered with a lake floor, a giant staircase, streets, and a domed building. This architectural complex covers about 200 m from west to east and about 140 m from north to south. Its highest point is about 26 m. In 1986, a Japanese diver while working underwater near the island of Yonaguni accidentally discovered a massive ancient stone structure. What is special is that it has the form of a pyramid with delicate angles. The stone area is up to 100 m long and has tunnels more than 2 m deep. Experts, after meticulously studying this area, called it one of the greatest discoveries in the history of underwater archaeology. Immediately after this discovery, the Ryukyu University established a team of underwater archaeologists and embarked on an 8-year research project. Many relics were discovered, including a stone structure, a cave-like structure surrounded by pillars, a human head wall, an arch structure and turtle statues. At that time, a marine geologist at the university spent more than 15 years diving in this area to measure and understand its formation. Starting in 1996, he surveyed the area after many dives. He found the human head statue, the marks of grinding on the stone, hieroglyphs carved on the stone slabs, and the stone colors were polished to look like animals. He finally came to the conclusion that this is the vestige of an ancient advanced civilization, an ancient city that was sunk by an earthquake about 12,000 years ago. The largest structure, which looks like a monolithic stepped pyramid, rises from a depth of 25 m. In 1990, divers discovered a giant pyramid made of rectangular stone slabs and has 5 layers, 183 m wide and 27.43 m high. The ruins are believed to have been formed at the end of the Ice Age about 10,000 years ago when the area was still above sea level. The ruins predate monuments such as the Egyptian pyramids or Stonehenge, which are only about 5,000 years old. Several smaller structures built nearby that resemble the pyramids have also been discovered. These small pyramids consist of stone layers about 10 m wide and about 2 m high. Divers also discovered a path running around the main structure, from which they found long roads, large avenues, large staircases, archways, and huge blocks of stone that were precisely and meticulously carved. All of them fit together in a unique architectural whole. They are clearly the relatively intact remains of an ancient city. Scientists have not been able to explain how this city was formed at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Many people believe that the pyramids were the work of aliens. The Atlantis expedition later dived to film a documentary about this structure, asserting that this was a man-made structure. There is no evidence that the inhabitants of ancient Japanese culture could have built them. In other words, someone from a distant prehistoric period built it before a geological event caused a huge continental block to sink, taking this great unfinished structure with it. Dating tests show that this structure could have been built around 8,000 to 10,000 BC. To date, after 25 years of discovering this structure, it has not been studied which civilization built it. University geologists involved in this study have concluded that this is a man-made structure, not a natural one. Divers from the Department of Geology at Boston University in the United States found that the giant staircases were built from a series of 1 m high stone layers like pyramid steps. Meanwhile, archaeologists at the University of London also believe that the builders of this structure were even more advanced than the ancient civilizations of the Indus River and the Luang Prabang. In 1995, a massive stone slab lying on the seabed surrounded by a layer of lake floor was discovered by a sports diver. The stone slab was tens of meters long, placed neatly and perpendicularly. The age of the stone slab is estimated to be around 8,000 years. An interesting point on the stone slab is the exquisite carving technique, and the dome of the stone complex is arranged tightly. This makes scientists think of the architectural style of the Inca civilization. Many other relics have also been discovered: a wall of human heads. The lines on the human face statue are still very clear, very similar to other stone human heads in Peru. Later, near the giant human head statue, hieroglyphic groups were found. This indicates that the builders of these underwater ruins belonged to a very advanced civilization. In addition, there are no traces of limestone around this architectural area, meaning that this structure was previously above sea level. The top of the structure has a large stone block similar to the sunstone in South America, which makes scientists think that this is probably an astronomical structure or a structure for performing rituals to the gods. The most surprising discovery is the hieroglyphics. The lines of writing are carved into a stone wall of an ancient civilization. Many people believe that this is a very advanced human culture. If this is true, it will inevitably raise questions. Why has the civilization and progress we're talking about never appeared in any human knowledge? When did they sink into the ocean? Geological evidence shows that this area was submerged during the last ice age. Reports from all over the world indicate that submerged man-made structures are found all over the world in France, India, and Japan. There are two ways that our ancestors created underwater structures like we see today. First, they had diving equipment and developed underwater construction techniques to a high level. But we do not think this was feasible and meaningful for the people of that time. Second, these areas were built when the ocean water level was lower than the surface. Geological studies have also shown that the time when the ocean water level was lower than most of the underground relics we know of was about 14,000 years ago. According to mainstream archaeologists, 14,000 years ago, our ancestors were living in caves and surviving by hunting and gathering. So could structures like Yonaguni have been built by primitive people? Is there any evidence of the existence of humans, our ancestors on these relics, these islands? In fact, archaeologists have discovered fossil remains of humans in such areas. So we are sure that at least humans existed here, but I dare not affirm that they had the technology to make structures like this or anything similar. What I want to imply here is no longer related to the technique of carving stone slabs. This time I want to talk more about the scale and level of organization. In other words, the vision of the architects who built the foundations of these ancient cities. As for us modern people today, we do not know anything more about the level of intelligence, thinking ability, and level of organization of the Stone Age people, who on the one hand were hunter-gatherers, and did not even know the basic agricultural techniques to ensure a full stomach every day. On the other hand, it is possible to be able to organize and design such complexes of stone artifacts and huge ceremonial areas. If according to scholars, the ancient Japanese did not create this structure, then who did? And why did they build this city here in Yonaguni and not somewhere else? According to the speculation of ancient astronaut theorists, aliens created the monuments at Yonaguni with technology far beyond the capabilities of Stone Age civilizations. Ancient astronaut theorists believe that the key to solving the mystery of Yonaguni can be found in other regions. The Yonaguni ruins located in the Pacific Ocean have long been suspected of being alien. This area is called the Dragon Triangle. This is an area located in the south of Japan. This area is very similar to the Bermuda Triangle because of the disappearance of planes and ships without a trace. In fact, the Japanese government has declared this area an unusual disaster area. No ships or planes have ever passed through it. If any ship flies into the Dragon Triangle, they are likely to encounter terrible things. In ancient Japan and even relatively modern times, there are stories of sea dragons appearing in this area. Accordingly, unidentified objects appear to rise from the water and fly into the air. In ancient Japan, people described these as winged monsters. When moving, they can emit bright and hot flames. In more modern times, we have the right to question whether this is the appearance of modern machinery when we compare the description of these devices with the description that Columbus recorded in his logbook near the Bermuda Triangle. We see similarities. Specifically, Columbus saw large balls of fire falling into the ocean or strange lights rising above the water. Do you see that there are similarities in these two places? We all see the appearance of unidentified objects rising above the water with halos and flying into the air. But why are two submerged structures found in the perimeter of strange seas on this planet? Seas where many unusual activities and events have occurred. Geographically, the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon Triangle are both located on the 25th parallel north. Is this a coincidence or is there a connection between them? One thing that we need to pay attention to after comparing these two mysterious areas is that they both have pyramids under the sea. One of the most controversial architectural forms for this scientific community. Some people even hypothesize that this strange pyramid was created to attract and store potential energy from the universe called energy fields or vacuums to serve the purpose of power plants at that time. Indeed, pyramids are no longer a strange concept to humans. However, while there are still many mysteries surrounding the pyramids on the ground in Egypt, this discovery makes it impossible for scientists to thoroughly explain its obvious existence. This mystery even causes other hypotheses to be put forward when suggesting that the pyramids may be the cause of the mysterious disappearances of planes when flying over Bermuda and the Dragon Triangle. Many people have asked the question: are those places still strangely related to UFOs? If UFOs and flying saucers still exist, we should suspect that they may have come from an ancient super-civilization. If the ruins of Yonaguni and near Cuba are of extraterrestrial origin, could they have used these two triangles as their bases? And if we believe that aliens have been active on land, could they also be active underwater? There is no basis to deny this prediction. Could it be that the Pacific Ocean holds more grounds for our speculation? As an island nation, Japan has many historical mysteries tied to the Pacific Ocean. Although most of the ancient Japanese legends have not been known and studied in depth by Western scholars, we can still discover some basic points that have attracted the attention of ancient astronaut theorists. One of the most interesting events that happened to us took place in 1803, just over 200 years ago. Back to the event in March 22, 1803 in the Haryudori coast of Hitachi Province, now Ibaraki, located north of Tokyo. People discovered an object believed to be a fairly large ship drifting to the shore and pulled it ashore to explore. The ship had a very special shape with a height of 3.3 m, a width of 5.45 m and an appearance similar to a Japanese incense burner. The upper part was covered with red-coated rosewood, while the lower part was made of brass plates. The transparent windows were made of glass or crystal with iron bars and sealed with resin. On the hull of the ship were engraved strange lines of words that no one could understand the content. Inside the ship was a beautiful girl, about 18 to 20 years old, about 1.5 m tall with a strange appearance. She had red hair and eyebrows, her hair was extended with white synthetic fibers, and her skin was pale pink. The clothes she wore looked very luxurious, especially the style and fabric that looked very strange. The girl spoke in a language that no one understood and held a small box tightly, not allowing anyone to touch it. People tried to find out about this strange beauty, but they could not determine because they did not understand what she said. After that, people began to spread scary stories that the box the girl was holding contained a human head. Hearing this, the people were all scared and decided to bring the girl and the boat back to the place where they first discovered it. This ship was later named Utsuro Bune by the people. The details of the story of this ghost ship have puzzled messengers for centuries. A series of questions have made many people devote their lives to research. For example, where did this mysterious ship come from? Did it come from the flooded area of Yonaguni? Who was this woman and what was in the box that she was determined to protect? Was it a human head, as the Japanese people at the time were rumored to have? Or was it, as some ancient astronaut theorists believe, a brain or other form of extraterrestrial intelligence? In that case, it could have been a gift intended to be presented to the Japanese people from the aliens' visit. In addition to the recorded stories of the Utsuro Bune ghost ship, many researchers have compiled a total of 5 drawings from different parts of Japan of strange objects that people have encountered in the past. They are quite well preserved, and these drawings are almost identical to modern UFO reports. This serves as evidence for the claims of ancient astronaut theorists. They point to carvings and drawings from Japan's earliest days that have survived as evidence of the variety of past encounters with extraterrestrials. In addition, there are relatively small humanoid figurines in Japan that were created during the late Jomon period, or Neolithic period in Japan, dating from around 14,000 BC to 400 BC. In Japanese, doga means earthen statue. The doga walls have some strange features that perhaps make them some of the most unique ancient works of art on the planet. When you look at each dogu, do you notice that they resemble human figures wearing some kind of clothing? Maybe a space suit? The statues are depicted wearing helmets or strapped goggles. Some have strangely elongated heads and some have almond-shaped eyes that are always disproportionate to the body. In my opinion, These are portraits of an extraterrestrial entity that visited the Earth thousands of years ago. Archaeologists have cataloged the existence of more than 15,000 Doga figures. From this, ancient astronaut theorists have concluded that the strangeness in the shape of the original Doga figures actually describes the space pressure suit or diving suit of today's divers. The story behind the Doga figures is clear, and anyone can read the ancient translation of Dogu. A long time ago, people who were considered descendants of the sky taught the first Japanese people about various crafts and the whole Japanese culture, including the kimono tea ceremony, the use of wasabi and ginger to eat with sushi, the way they built their houses, writing, language, all the tangible and intangible cultural activities mention the visitors, the gods who came from the universe. The images of Doga figures show the image of astronauts. They are dressed like an astronaut, wearing a helmet like an astronaut. They hold some tools in their hands that we do not understand what they are for. All of this gives us associations. Then, are the Doga figures unique phenomena of human figures wearing spacesuits? The answer is of course not. In North America there is an ancient tribe that still exists today and retains its own culture. That is the Hopi tribe in Arizona. And the interesting thing is that the Hopi Indians still make Katrina dolls to this day. Katrina also has a shape that looks like the Japanese Doga dolls. And further back in the Sahara Desert in Africa, we found a cave with some paintings. When you see this image, you will definitely say astronaut uniforms without a doubt. Now compare the cave paintings to the Hopi Katrina dolls and to the Japanese Dogu. You have a whole host of mysteries about the shapes left by the ancients. Do the Dogu provide tangible evidence of alien encounters in ancient Japan? And the legends of Utsuro Bune suggest that somewhere else there is more evidence of alien contact. Perhaps the answer can be found under the seas off the coast of India. In 2001, Indian oceanographers discovered an anomaly on the floor of the Gulf of Khumbat, 7 miles off the coast. They were on a mission to survey pollution in the Gulf off the northwest coast of India. And the explorers certainly didn't expect to find anything but pollution down there. But suddenly, when they scanned the bottom of the bay, the ocean researchers were startled to realize that they had discovered something unusual. The images returned from the scanner showed. Lying 60 m below the seabed was a network of giant stone buildings covered in mud and sand. The area they found covered an area of about 5 square miles. These buildings were part of an ancient city that had been submerged at the bottom of the Gulf of Khumbat. Later surveys showed that the location the researchers had originally discovered was on the side of an ancient canal. The entire area seemed to have been submerged for a very long time. At that time, according to the official documents of the archaeologists, there were no cities like that anywhere in the world. The level of civilization and social organization of prehistoric people did not allow us to build cities, urban areas on that scale. Yet it is here that defies everything we know about the history of our planet. Scientists have collected dozens of artifacts, including wood and pottery shards, for study. Some of the artifacts are man-made and date back to around 32,000 years ago. But oceanographers have concluded that the site was submerged only about 9,000 years ago. So the city must have existed between 32,000 and 9,000 years ago. And here we have the contradictions. Scholars today say that the ancient Indian civilization is only 4,000 or 5,000 years old. However, the same Indian scientists say that their civilization is tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years old. Could the ruins at the bottom of the Gulf of Khumbat prove the Indian scientists right? A recent discovery may answer their questions. 200 miles northwest of the modern city of Dvarka. Archaeologists have been digging deep into the city's rock layers for signs that the place was once submerged under the sea. Inspired by this clue, they began searching for more ruins. On the surrounding shores, when divers reached a depth of 25 m, they discovered sandstone walls, cobblestone streets, and evidence of a thriving port. Scientists claim these ruins are the remains and legends of the ancient city of Dvarka. The Hindu scriptures say that the legendary city of Dvarka is believed to be the abode of Lord Krishna, the god of compassion, love, and wisdom, who is one of the most widely revered and worshipped deities in the Indian cultural tradition. Imagine what the discovery of Lord Krishna's city would mean for the people of India. We can make a simple comparison like this. The discovery of Lord Krishna's city would mean strengthening the strong belief in the divine and the faith of the people. It is like Christians around the world suddenly discovering that the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant is real. According to the ancient scriptures, a king used flying ships to attack the city, shooting energy beams using weapons similar to lightning. He destroyed most of the city following this method. When this happened, Lord Krishna responded by shooting at the ships with his weapons. These weapons were described as arrows, but they were not ordinary arrows. It was said that they were like thunder when they were shot, and they were as fast as lightning or sun rays. In response, many flying ships began to appear at the same time in many places. They appeared and moved, similar to the description of UFOs in our time. So the interesting thing that I found in this report is, a metal spaceship was fired at the city on Earth. Legend has it that the Krishna city, when it could not protect the city, decided to leave the Earth, and then the ocean swallowed the city as a temple to protect it from the invasion of strangers. Ancient astronaut theorists have believed that the description in the war shows that the people who are said to be the gods in the legend used alien technology and even had spaceships with advanced weapons that have great damage and destruction. For many, the descriptions of mythical cities in ancient Indian Sanskrit texts are simply myths. But with the discovery of the remains of a sunken city off the coast of India, as Dvarka has shown, things have changed. Some have begun to look at the ancient texts in a new light and are beginning to realize that they are not simply a retelling of myths. They are more likely to be history recorded by historians. So did ancient Indians witness a war between extraterrestrial forces? Are the records left behind in ancient Indian texts evidence of aliens contacting Earth in the past? And are the descriptions of gods simply descriptions of aliens misinterpreted? Perhaps another discovery under a mysterious lake will yield more evidence of ancient aliens. On the path to finding the ruins of the ancient world buried beneath the water, I would like to invite you to the Andes Mountains in Peru. There is a deep lake called Titicaca, located at an altitude of about 400 m above sea level. Titicaca is known as the highest lake in the world. In August 2000, a team of Italian archaeologists and divers were introduced to survey this legendary lake. The result was beyond everyone's expectations. About 35 m underwater, archaeologists discovered traces of a road, a stone foundation, and a wall nearly a kilometer long. The road leads to an ancient temple that is determined to be 1,500 years old. The discoveries above raised many questions for archaeologists to search for answers. Their starting point is the stories told by the local people. For centuries, local legends have spoken of a lost underwater city called Wanaku. It is believed that the children of the sun came to the surface from the bottom of the lake. They believe that their ancestors originated from this tiger. Lake Titicaca is the residence of the creator god Viracocha, one of the most important gods in Inca mythology, considered the author of all things and phenomena that exist on this earth, including the entire universe of the sun, moon, and stars, time, as well as humans. The Incas considered Lake Titicaca as the birthplace of their ancestors. They believed that when they died, the souls of the dead would return to their previous origins. Therefore, the lake is considered one of the most sacred places in the Andes. The city of Wanaku and the burial place of golden statues of the gods were hidden from the conquerors and then lost. At the bottom of the lake, researchers found many artifacts, including fragments of gold, pottery, stone statues, boats, human and animal bones. It is possible that these records are evidence of a city that actually existed. The entire site was determined to be around 1,500 years old, which is long before the Inca civilization. Could these ruins provide clues to the strange origin of the city that scientists were looking for? Then they discovered another detail about the connection with the outside world of the relics under the lake. Lying on the sediment of the lake was a large stone head with quite elaborate carvings. A quick comparison was made. The results showed that this stone head is similar to the stones found near the ancient city of Tiwanaku, 20 kilometers south of Lake Titicaca. Tiwanaku is also one of the places that ancient astronaut theorists believe to have been the site of extraterrestrial intervention. When Spanish archaeologists spoke to the Aymara Indians, they said that giants built the city of Tiwanaku. Even the Spanish scholars were amazed by these huge stones. They thought that demons or some other force did it. When I looked at some of the cuts on the large stones at Tiwanaku, I strongly believed that we were observing an event of ancient construction and forgotten traces of human history. But if the ruins found at the bottom of Lake Titicaca are evidence of the lost city of Tiwanaku, what happened to it? Did it fall prey to earthquakes or natural disasters? Or was the city, as ancient astronaut theorists believe, deliberately submerged? To answer that question, we must first look at Lake Titicaca. Archaeologists are stumped by the question of why the submerged ruins are not so old. All of them are only 1,500 years old. It is clear that people built a city in a state of water is an unrealistic assumption. Therefore, the most likely scenario for the city to be at the bottom of the lake is that it was flooded, and the time of this event must be the same as the age of the ruins, that is, 1,500 years ago. But how could the ancients create the largest lake in South America, 118 miles long, 50 miles wide, to submerge a city 1,500 years ago? What I'm trying to imply here is the issue of time mismatch. The Aymara indigenous people here say that this lake has existed there since ancient times. In Aymara legend, the lake is considered the origin of the entire continent's civilization. Therefore, it is impossible that this lake was formed recently. Evidence of geological activity in the area also supports this statement. Local people say that the things here have a very ancient origin, according to which they originated from the stars. Some people believe that it was made by extraterrestrials, but others believe that space brothers helped the local people to create those magnificent structures. They directly taught the local people, because they had a lot of knowledge and experience in many different fields. About calling people who are not from Earth space brothers. This term is used by the locals to refer to the aliens who traveled to their land through the portal of the gods. It is said that the space brothers came here, they ate, lived and worked with humans. They were very important in our lives and they themselves were very powerful. But if so, was the lost city of Tiwanaku built by the ancestors of the Aymara people? And if so, could it have been sunk on purpose to avoid detection from the outside world? A respected elder in the area told of the city under the lake. They spoke of lights that looked like stars in the sky descending on the lake. When these stars descended into the lake, the temperature of the lake changed. There were many legends about streams of light moving at the bottom of the lake. It seemed that they came and went and returned at different moments. Locals also describe seeing large blue balls or glowing discs and objects, and sometimes they are seen in the surrounding areas. There are also some witnesses who say they have seen aliens. These aliens are described as tall and pale. These stories from the locals will start to make us think that this is an underwater base of ancient aliens. And maybe there were some relics that were sunk for a purpose. For example, to avoid the curious eyes of modern humans. Anyway, this would be a reasonable answer to the problem of moving a 1,500-year-old city to the bottom of a lake that has existed for thousands of years without significant geological disturbance. Maybe the discoveries of forgotten underwater cities are the evidence that humanity has been searching for centuries. It proves that we are not alone in the universe. The mysteries of these underwater structures reveal no trace. They seem to have fallen from the sky. Sometimes their existence makes all our arguments and logic become meaningless. It seems that they were there when the world was created. Therefore, finding answers to the mysteries surrounding them can shed light on human history. It is possible that not all underwater monuments that we know of today are related to the presence of aliens who traveled to Earth in ancient times. Some of them may have been newly formed due to human activities. Some may have been built by our ancestors. Others may trace an ancient civilization built hundreds of thousands, millions, even billions of years ago. The problem with these relics is that we have too little information and evidence to be able to confirm anything for sure. Their existence directly reminds us that the history of civilizations on Earth still has huge missing pieces that humans have never known. Or if they know, they have not been able to find the answers. That the knowledge about the development of humanity that we know today is actually too fragmented, patchy, and full of doubts. This has been and is urging us to continue to explore the mysteries, the secrets in history that have been unintentionally swept away by the river of time. And it would be ridiculous for modern people today to beat their chests and claim that they are the most advanced, modern civilization that has ever set foot on the earth. You and I need to realize our ignorance and smallness in this world. From there, we can broaden our horizons, welcome interesting, new things that you may have never thought of. Back to the topic of mysterious cities that we learned about today. Atlantic City, Lake Titicaca. All these ancient mysteries always have a connection to gods, who control strange flying chariots, fight on flying ships, and shoot rays of light that can destroy entire cities. According to ancient astronaut theorists, these gods are related to aliens. Do you think aliens have ever come to Earth to build majestic legendary cities as their bases? And for some reason let these places sink under the ocean? And do you think that until now there are still mysterious creatures using these underwater relics as their bases? They simply want to avoid the curious eyes of humans. One day, we will have satisfactory answers to all these questions. There are many, many mysterious places, events, and stories that I want to explore with you. Please comment your opinions and suggestions for me below this video. Don't forget to watch the next interesting video on the channel. Hello and see you again.